Hey, thanks for coming out to nerd out today, guys. I love groundwork. It is so fun to be able to ride your horse from the ground. It's so useful for many different reasons. That is a way that I started Baby Wrath, is you teach them how to lunge first, and then it's a great way to introduce tack. The first time a horse gets a saddle on and they hear the flapping behind them is usually quite an event, and I prefer not to be on them when they hear that for the first time. So it can be really useful and avoid some injuries. We also can use that for teaching the horse how to have a nice shape. So in dressage, we're always asking our horses to be in front of the leg, lower their heads and necks, higher their backs, engage their cores. And so we can really see that from the ground. We can use tools, devices, and see how our aids in communication produce what we want or what we don't want in real time. So it can be a really good problem solving technique. The handouts I gave you are just some of my favorite tips. We might not get to everything today, but just what I would want to know if someone was teaching me before I had to teach myself. But we'll kind of get right to it. Groundwork is a way that you can have a communication with your horse even before you get on. So sometimes you might even lunge, then hop on, sort of gauge how your horse's emotion is on that day. For us that have the older horses like Dustin, it can be a great way to be like, all right, how tight are they today? Do they need to warm up without a rider on their back? And we'll probably see that today because all the horses have had break. And we might have some feisty horses, we might have some tight and lazy horses, but it'll be great to see what we have and what we can work with. Who has lunged before? Where are we starting at? You've lunged a bit. Lunge. Oh, good. We got a fresh one. Have you lunged? No. Yes, extra fresh. I love a clean slate. That's great. That means you have no bad habits. That's wonderful. I love it. Okay, so I'll introduce some of the equipment to you. There are some general rules of the road. Lunging sessions, we don't want to really be out there for hours. Circles do cause extra strain. The smaller the circle, the more strain. So you want to make sure you're changing directions often, at least once, so they're worked evenly each side. I generally say no more than half an hour. And circles that are smaller than a 20-meter circle that you'd have in dressage, I try and keep it to just a couple minutes maybe, and then push them back out. So maybe I brought them into a smaller circle to work on their bend or their suppleness. I'm going to get them back out. We just try not to put extra strain on their tendons and joints and ligaments. A lot of things you'll also see when you're out at a show or maybe out at other barns is one old theory is, let's get them tired, tire them out, you know? And I grew up with that too, you know, maybe that's how I survived as a child, I don't know. But if you see them like winging around like psychos on a carousel, generally we're gonna try and stay away from that. If any of our horses do that today, we're gonna gently stop them, take a breath, and restart them. What that signals is a horse is not settled emotionally, for sure. But also they can really injure themselves. Their legs are flying, they're not thinking about self-preservation, and you might having to pull them on a circle, and that can also pull them off balance and cause other injuries. I've seen horses actually wipe out before because they went galloping away to the lunge line, hit the end of the lunge line like a dog on a chain or something, and then wiped themselves out. So the most we can keep this very workmanlike, very emotionally stable that we can with these large animals is the best.
And for the person holding the lunge line too.
Exactly, exactly.
You get dragged,
yeah, yeah.
Let go.
I've seen Kristen get drug. I've seen Naomi get drug across like this with a young horse a while ago. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes that is the best choice. That's also a thing we're going to talk about is just like with the lead lines, when you're leading a horse, you don't want it to be around your hand, especially with the lunge line. If they take off, I've heard of fingers being taken off, rope burn at minimum. So we're going to keep extra attention to how we hold the line. And that brings us to our next point. We have a line for everybody. Oh, so excitement. And this one is fresh from English Riding Supply. Thank you, sponsor. Whoop, whoop. And Erin, we're not going to use this, but it's the only one I had left. This is a nylon, and I would say do not use a nylon one. This is like our spare last resort emergency equipment. I really should replace it with a cotton one. That can absolutely cause extra rope burns. And it's not gonna break. The cotton, if it needs to break, might, but so just for practice, we're gonna use it in here. That would be my recommendation. So these are our lunge lines, and I might just borrow one of yours. Could I borrow yours to demonstrate? Fabulous. So go ahead and everybody let out your line. It might be tied up in any fashion of direction. Just let it all loose. And I'll give you the other end so we can both practice together. There you go. Hi, Margaret. Yes, you're so helpful. Thank you. Oh, actually, she'd probably love that. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna practice how you take up the line, and that's gonna be really useful for when your horse turns in and wants to come say hi to you during your lunging session, or if you're finished up, you wanna go get your horse, change the direction. This is how you're gonna efficiently and safely take up the line. Very much like our lead rope in a figure-8 fashion. You can run your hand down as long as you like to make that loop long and efficient, and then you're gonna have your other hand grab it, and then repeat. The second time, you're gonna put it into your holding hand the opposite way, so it becomes like a little bow tie with a loop on one side and the other side of your hand. Yeah.
The opposite way, so you're not, your tongue
Exactly.
going
What I would say is the top of your hand is the thumb, the bottom is your pinky. So let's do it together. If you've got your pinky down, your free hand's gonna run away from the hold hand. This line is then going to go into your fist from the pinky up to the thumb. So that would be loop 1. Yeah, you got it. Let me see you. I think you got it. Oh, yeah, perfect. I got you, girl, I got you. And that looks right. Awesome. So then loop number 2 is gonna go from your thumb, drag it out as long as you want. And when you replace it in your holding hand, it's gonna be going from your thumb to your pinky. So we end up with a loop in each direction. One loop is coming out of my thumb, and one loop is coming out of my pinky. Yeah, give that a try, and I'll come around and assist. Oh, yeah, you got it. Let's see. Connie, I think you got it too. You got, so this is great. The other side you're gonna do is your, no,
that was my first one.
oh yeah, first one. And then this one is gonna make a loop above, and then you grab it, and then just kind of flops over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got it. And then you go back to the original process, loop down into your hand. Yeah, you got it. And then up into the hand, kind of like.
Flip it over.
Yeah, flip it over. You got it.
Okay.
I know, it's like a brain meld. Awesome. So you've got your thumb up. Let's see. Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Why don't you put this in your left hand? That might make your life easier. So that goes then into here. Perfect. So you've got your pinky to thumb one. Then this is going to make the loop from your thumb up and down. So when you join it back in, it's going to be right grabbing in there. Perfect. So now you have a loop on the top of your hand and a loop on the bottom.
Oh, okay. It's like a split when you
Like it's split, yeah. So Connie, if you hold that up, that's kind of what we're going for eventually.
You can tell.
Yeah, it's all good. So if you see any that loop around in a circle, and you might have some that circle and some that don't, that's what you're going for. Perfect.
So it's going to be this one, this one, this one, this one.
Absolutely. I also like a butterfly. I always try and think of a different, that imagery works. Yeah, it's for like little butterfly wings. Yeah, fantastic.
Sad bow tie.
Sad bow tie, that's a great one. Absolutely. A droopy bow tie. So that is a skill you absolutely want to practice when there's not a horse wiggling around, because it will just make your life so much easier. But we'll keep practicing it today. We have some good little creatures that'll probably give us just enough of a challenge.
And is this the idea to hold a lead line the same way
Absolutely.
from faster?
Exactly the same. The lead line is not as long, so it's not as complicated, but the exact same theory that if it's looping around, you're kind of at the mercy of a large toddler animal, you know, not my favorite. But if you have it in the figure eight fashion, yes, they can still pull away from you. They can basically do whatever they want because they're large, but we're gonna negate the risk as much as we can by not allowing it to loop around fully in our hands. Ah, great questions. This brings me to my beautiful diagram. I am not an artist. So this is what we're going to demonstrate when we're lunging our horse. The basic idea is that the rider or the handler is in the middle and they're pivoting. They're not really having to chase the horse necessarily or back away from the horse. Now there's definitely instances as we get into more complicated techniques where you actually walk with the horse, crossing your legs kind of grapevine style, and that's called parallel lunging. That's great for keeping your horse close to you, but allowing them to travel on a larger circle. We probably won't get to that today, but it is really useful for when, say, if we're doing a little Luna and Luna keeps trying to turn in, or you have to really push maybe a nibbles forward. You want to be able to reach their butt with the whip, but you don't want to be in a small 10-meter circle forever. So that can be really useful. The basic theory is that you're holding still, your horse is traveling in a consistent circle around you, and this is a triangle that how the line goes from your hand to the horse's bit. The horse is a second side of the triangle, and the third side is your whip pointing towards their hock or their butt. So if we can basically have this consistent circle as we go around, then that's our basis of communication. We can add, we can subtract. The idea is you don't have to like be chasing and running around all the time. Sometimes that happens, but this is the goal. This is the goal. Your horse can have a lunging cavesson if you don't need to do any work with the bit and you want to make sure you have a halter basically that stays steady. You might have one of these. It's very heavily padded. Pass it around. I have to say I pretty rarely will use that. We have it for just in cases. Maybe we have a really sensitive horse or a horse that's starting out. Yeah, it's heavy. It's stays consistent. If you pull on the inside line, sometimes the halter will shift. So that's a benefit to using the cavesson just versus their regular pasture halter.
So you can use that by itself, right? Or
Totally can. Yeah, totally can. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, man. Another option we love, especially with the baby horses or maybe the stronger horses, is a rope halter. And this is nice and soft. It conforms directly to their face, but it also has a nice small surface area pressure points. So you can often get your point across efficiently and not have to kind of nag. There we go. What we're going to use today is bridles though, and we'll talk through that. You're basically going to put on the bridle as normal, but there's a fashion where we loop the reins over themselves, twist them, and tie them up in the throat latch so they don't get a hoof through it. This is a lunging surcingle. It's going to go on your horse over a saddle pad right where the saddle would go. And these are side reins. So this is a way you can basically really ride your horse from the ground. This is going to connect to the horse's bit, and this is as if the rider is holding the rein. And you'll notice it's very elastic, it's very stretchy. When we put these on, we'll talk about the right length, because if it is too tight, and this is a more advanced skill, your horse can have an adverse reaction, especially they're young, sensitive. Horses have been known to flip over or back up if they feel claustrophobic and if it's too tight. So this is where it starts to get a little bit more, I would say, intermediate level of lunging. But the rewards are great if you do it right. You can really help your horse out. You'll notice this one has little pads to help the surcingle keep even on each side of their body. This one's not quite as awesome, but it works. This one has a side rein that has a rubber donut, so still elasticity, just a different sort of feel. Yeah, wild stuff. And here are our lunge whips. Yay! This is just a super long lash. Yeah, isn't it heavy? It's like very serious equipment. Yeah, very heavy. And it's nicely padded. That one's got fluffy. That one just is leather, but a little heavier, but hopefully stays a little bit more centered and even.
So would you put that one on with a pad and this one you could without it? Or?
I guess you could technically do either without a pad, but the goal is that we're not going to create chafing, hopefully with a pad. And then also it can protect the equipment, especially that one being leather, especially in the summer, they're going to sweat. So the less sweat that gets on the leather, ideal. Yeah, but it's not completely necessary to use a saddle pad. Yeah, great question. Merci beaucoup. Well, thank you, thank you. So last thing is our lunge whip. In our triangle shape, we're going to have the line in our left hand if our horse is going left. The whip is in our right, and I'm going to keep it pointed down and at the horse's hind leg. Unless I want to engage the horse's attention, I'll raise it, I can wiggle it, I can sweep it, and if I wasn't afraid of slapping anyone, I would snap it. But I will not do that inside in a closed space. Could I have a helper to be my horse? And then we're gonna just like quickly demonstrate with each other so that we can do it before we get to the horses. All right, Robin. My good horsey, I appreciate it. So we're gonna pretend like you're going left and I've got the line in my figure 8 hands. Do, 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 do. Now, Robin doesn't have a caboose like a horse would, so I'm gonna pretend like your butt's all the way over here. My posture, I want to be very neutral. Horses are very, very good at body language, being herd animals, being prey animals, so even if they're not looking at you, they're looking at you. So I want to communicate to my horse that I'm in charge, I'm comfortable, I'm competent to lead this situation, basically as you're riding. So it also helps you practice your core strength and your position. My core is going to be tight, chest open, elbows at my side. Just like when I'm riding, I want a straight line from the horse's bit to the rein, which is our lunge line today, all the way to my elbow. Try not to do all these kinky things. And the same thing with my whip. Except for with the whip, I'm going to keep it down towards the ground unless I need to alert the horse's attention and ask for something. Sometimes riders' posture can be either a little meek or a little timid, you know, rounding the shoulders, maybe looking down. The opposite is aggressive, and it's like, you know, attacky, you know. So you might find yourself going in between one or the other as you keep practicing. But ideally, soft, neutral, strong, just like when we ride, is what you want to be. Now, when I ask for my horse to go up or down in a gait, how am I going to ask them? There's clucking, right? Like when we ride, clucking's helpful. But a standard of lunging is to raise your voice in its tone if you want your horse to go up a gait. For example, you would say, and walk, or and to rut. And if you wanted to go down a gait, say trot to walk, you'd go, and woo walk. And it's not like any specific tone. I can't sing. It's just the horse is going to notice your voice is decelerating or escalating in its pitch. If anyone's a singing person, is that the right verbiage? We're all in a good boat. Fabulous, fabulous. Yeah, you do not want to hear it. No, they think someone's dying. Like, what are they doing in the tack room? We should run away. Oh my gosh, so funny. So if I want you, horsey, to go to the trot, I'd say enter up, and I'd raise the whip, wiggle it. She'd hopefully start trotting, and we'd sort of go on this journey. And walk, and I'm lowering the whip, and hopefully horsey listens. But if horsey doesn't listen, we've got tugs, we've got tickles, really as if we were riding them. We're just visually looking at them and 20 meters away, or 10 meters away. Who wants to give it a try? Who's horse, who's rider? We'll have 2 of you up at a time. It's all just good practice. Yeah, give it a go. Yeah, I'll take a turn. And I know it feels silly, but it is so helpful to just feel this for a second before there's a whole 2,000-pound toddler at the other end. All right, give it a go. Let's ask your horse to walk. Yeah, and then you can raise the whip a little bit, and as soon as they walk, you lower it. And let's go say the trot. Yeah, good. Yeah, good job, Ann. Excellent trot, fabulous. And then if you wanted to go trot to walk, how would you tell her? Perfect. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a tight space, but you would both be rotating like that. Yeah, switcheroo. Give it a go, guys.
Is there any tricks to not getting dizzy?
Looking at the horse. Yeah, yeah. And sometimes you will just get dizzy. Yeah. Hopefully, if the horse is moving consistently, it's like if you're car sick, you're supposed to stare at something specifically. Good job, Margaret. Hopefully, your horse is consistent enough that they will kind of move with you. I find if I'm looking down at the ground or in the trees, you will get dizzy extra. Yep. But you're probably focused on the horse at that point, so fingers crossed. All right, give it a go, guys. Good job, Margaret. Oh, yeah, she's peanut roller. Nice. Good. Really good. Try it again, and then now that you've got the feeling for it, when you want her to go up and you do the walk, you can raise the whip, give it a wiggle, and then put it back down when you're happy. And then if you want to downshift, I forgot to practice with you guys, give a little wiggle or a tug release of the rein. Yeah, nice. Hey, there you go. Perfect.
And walk.
Sweet. And then she's a good girl. You can lower the whip, but keep it at the hock.
And trot.
Good job. And, oh, beautiful. Well done, ladies. All right, keep switching out, guys. Make sure y'all get a little feel.
Looks like it's our turn. All right. You want to be the horse or the manner? Well, am I wrong?
You're gonna do both, girl.
Oops. Because I only ever get to just carry this to and from places.
Ah, look at you now in the driver's seat.
So I try to be a good horsey.
Be a good beastie.
At the bottom,
Perfect.
walk.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use a cluck if they're ignoring you, and then put the whip back down just to be like, great, good kid.
And then I would say, do I have to pick it back up again to trot?
Yeah, if you want to go up or faster, yeah.
Trot.
Yeah, there you go. Good horse, yay.
I'll let you come show me how it's done. You didn't tell me to walk.
Oh, yeah, you got to decelerate. That's right. This horse is going to hold you to a standard. Yeah, let's go high and low.
And then,
Yeah, and whoa.
and then they turn in usually, right?
Sometimes they turn in. There are different theories on that. In natural horsemanship, they want the horse to turn in and make eye contact.
Okay.
I prefer they just halt and wait for you to come to
So
them.
if you're right-handed like I am, depends on. Would depend on which way we're going, right?
Exactly. Yeah, you can practice the other way. I find
try
it
the other-
way harder to go the other way.
Just, yeah, that's the reason why I'm switching.
Yeah, give it a try.
Since I'm right-handed, this is awkward.
Oh, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it was definitely.
Okay, gotta stretch it out here, so you got feeling. Walk.
Nice. She's got a little swagger to her walk. All right.
Dressage
Yeah, girl.
Now, wait, I should have the whip inside like this, right? Because I had it on.
Well, hopefully we won't have the lounge problem
Yeah.
outside, so ignore all that.
Okay, I'll pretend.
Yeah, just pretend.
You gotta get yourself, I'm not gonna hit you.
Now I'm going to the other side. I'm switching.
Oh, wait. So you need to keep going to the right.
This side.
Your hand that is closest to the horse's nose is the one that's going to have the lead. So in this
Okay, so we were
situation,
doing
you'd
it
be
the
going to the right. Yep.
Okay, so
Perfect.
we're doing it the opposite. Walk.
Nice.
Trot.
Yeah, perfect.
And then I gotta move.
Good horse. Yeah, there you go.
Walk.
And try and go high, low. There you go.
The
Yeah, so
tension
easy
with the run line, is it sort of like the same thing with reins and the contact?
Exactly. Reins and contact. You want it to be that kind of elastic feel if the
So
horse
not
is
pulling, but
not
also
pulling.
drooping.
Not drooping. And especially with the drooping in the line, if they turn in, oh, they can get in all kinds of trouble. They can step on it, they can get it tangled in their legs. So it's even extra important that they stay out on a circle and that line stays off the ground. A cute exercise I do with the kids when they're learning how to steer is we call it the snake on the ground. We don't want the snake to get on the ground, so that means the kid has let the horse wander too close to me as the handler. So then they have to steer the horse out, and if they can stay on a consistent connection with that horse staying out and the line off the ground, then I know they're steering. Because horses don't go in circles, they wander, they graze, they wiggle. Has everybody done this? Did we all do it? Great. Shall we get our horses? Let's give it a go.
Do you recommend wearing gloves, Whitney?
Yeah, so the safety standard is to wear a helmet and gloves. It's not one of those things I'm like, oh, you're being a bad, naughty girl if you don't, but that is for sure the gold standard. In fact, you're supposed to wear a helmet anytime you're around the horses, but life happens, and I'm not gonna generally put on a helmet to go lead to and from a pasture, but it's at your own discretion for sure. So if you guys have gloves and you want to wear them, by all means, put them on. Same thing with the helmet. Never hurts to overdo it. I do not mind. But let's all grab your lines.
What if you don't own a helmet or gloves?
Then no problem. You'll survive. We're not gonna use the nylon, so that is gonna be
You want me
helpful.
to leave that one in?
Leave that sucker. We're just gonna use 3 horses today, and we're gonna go in teams to help each other out.
I did not tie that back up as neat as.
We're going to put on the surcingle and the saddle pad just like we do with the saddle. So perfection. Good boy, Dustin. We've got the saddle pad all lined up, and it just feels awkward. So kind of just amble it on top the best you can, and then we'll zhuzh it into place.
So now do you put it on like, just like the saddle behind the withers?
Exactly,
So
behind
it's
the
just like
withers.
the saddle.
Exactly, and exactly like the saddle. We want to put the billets through this girth straps so the saddle pad does not fly away. I have seen that happen, and it's comical if the horse doesn't mind, and scary if they do. Boy, Dusties. Good, so you're putting the girth with the billets through the other side. Yeah, would you like some more room over there, Robin? I know we trust Dustin, but...
I was gonna say, he has them right up on the wall. Look at.
Oh, hi, Henry. You got out of work today, aren't you? Lucky. Yeah.
He's like, where's
Beautiful. And that looks lovely and centered. We've got the side reins here to help when we're ready, but otherwise they're out of the way. And then we'll tighten the girth just like we would with the saddle. We don't want it so tight the horse can't breathe, but tight enough that it's not going to wiggle as we do our workout.
So I got a question. Should we do the reins now underneath?
Ooh,
Or wait
so-
until we get out there?
What we can do is first let's do the noseband just normal.
Okay.
So put on the bridle like normal, noseband like normal, and then let's talk through the reins.
I'll loop them.
Yeah. I find it kind of fun. What you are gonna want is the throat latch undone.
Okay.
Perfect.
So, throat latch.
Yeah, so you're doing great. Did the noseband like normal.
Undo this.
Undo that, you got it.
Okay.
Oh, perfect, good team. Now the reins, just like when you ride, you wanna have the buckle centered in the middle of their neck, their crest. But what you're gonna do is wrap these reins around each other over and over and over
Just weave them.
a lot. And it's until it's so connected, it's almost up in the throat latch. Yeah, really wrap up. Perfect.
knot it
Yeah, so it's kind of knotted up. Then you're gonna grab the throat latch and put it through any one of these loops.
So anyone.
Any one of them, yeah. Perfect. And then it's gonna attach like normal up to the bridle.
Like that.
Perfect. And then what this does is no matter how silly our horses get, they buck, they shake their heads, they try and eat grass, they're not gonna be able, or less likely, able to get their little hoofies through the reins and then hurt their mouths. Perfect. Now, how we lead them out is very much how we normally would, except for we have the lunge line, and that is gonna snap to the bit. Good kid. Yeah, good. Practice that figure eighting. Awesome. Oh, you got it, girl. That's right.
You're a pro.
Pro. Pro. There. And then figure eight it all up so you can hold it in your left hand, because we don't want it to be on the ground. He's a good boy, but if it was a feisty young horse, we would never want that to drop. So you'd have it all set in your figure eight before you attached it to him.
Oh.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
before you attach it.
Before you attach it. Imagine you've got
Because you
baby
have a
Raph
feisty
running
horse.
around. Oh, they're going to
Or
step
even
on it.
Henry can do that sometimes.
Henry can do that, totally. So this is perfect. And now you would lead him out just like you would for riding. Your right hand is close to the nose, and there you go. Now it feels more like a normal horse situation. Have this horse so perfectly ready. I've got the whip in my right hand, the line in my left, and I'll just give a little demo and ask me any questions, guys. We're gonna start by walking our horse in the circle that you want them to be in eventually. Kind of gets them jump started, especially for the lazy ponies. And just like riding, the goal isn't that everything goes perfect right away, but that we work on some problem solving skills for when things are less than ideal. When I want to signal to the horse, I want her to stay on a larger circle than me. I'm going to start to step back away from her and behind her, but I'm going to be ready with the whip to say, hey, keep going forward. Don't follow me. Good girl. What a pro. I'm getting into my position. I'm not worried about going too fast too soon. I've got my line in my left hand like it's my rein. Whip is over here, and this is our triangle. Girl, Luna. What I'd love to see is at the walk, we can find a consistent circle. The beauty of this ground, it was just drug and watered, especially for you ladies. I can see if our circle stays roughly the same or not with me not moving, but I'm pivoting on one leg. Girl, Luna. I'm gonna ask her to trot and to rut. Good pony. And then the whip goes back down, but it's at the ready. It looks like we've got a stiff pony. So we're gonna not push her and just let her trot and find her circle for a minute. If I want her to downshift, I'm gonna go, good job, my voice high to low. And walk. You might have to repeat, and walk, and give a little wiggle. And hoo. Now when I want to get close to the horse, you can totally drop the whip because it is annoying and it gets in the way. I'm going to do the same thing we did in the lounge. I'm going to feed that line through in the figure eight pattern until I get up to our horse. And that's the basics. I'll come help you all with all of it. All right, you want to give it a go, Ann? Keep your elbow by your side, fingers closed as if you were riding. And if she wiggles close to you like that, you're going to point the whip at her shoulder, do a little poke towards her shoulder and say out. There, nice. And she listened and she went to a bigger circle. Fantastic. Now let's ask her to trot. Your voice is going to go low to high. The whip can raise and wiggle, and you can give clucks. Yeah, keep it up till she listens. Good. Yeah, good. Super, Mackenzie. Well done. And if you start to see your horse slowing and thinking about downshifting, yes, you can give a little snap of the whip, a little wiggle, and clucks. For our lazier horses like this, yeah, we're thinking we want to keep them in the trot, but we also want to get her a little more forward and in her tracks. So let's see if we can open that trot up. Clucking. Yeah, there you go. Nice. Keep it up. If she slows her tempo, we want to watch for that. Falls in or pulls out. Good, get those snorts out, girl. Nicely done, Mackenzie. Then when you're going to go downshift, your voice goes high to low, your whip goes down, and you can even give her little tickles or tugs on the line. Let's give it a shot. High, low. There you go. Yeah, nice. And she just needed a little bit of rein to say, oh, okay, that's what I want. Good, keep practicing that. All right, so we have beautiful Dustin to help us out. We have the surcingle hooked up and the side reins are already hooked up. Our goal is to have this simulate the connection that the rider has with the horse through the rein. The first thing that we talked about in the lounge that we want to make sure is it's not too tight. So I use this as a measuring. I'll put it up to where the bit is. And let's say it was much shorter and it only came to here. I would call that too short, because then you'd have to crank his nose down, wrench it in, attach this to the bit, and that's where we can have accidents. Even a well-meaning horse can feel very claustrophobic, very trapped. At minimum, they might just feel there's a lot of rein pressure, so I guess I want to go backwards because that's what I'm being told to do. But we'd rather have it way too loose and floppy than too tight any day, because we can always tighten. In fact, that is sort of the rule of thumb. You start out without the side reins just like we did, then we put them on very loose, then we can adjust them tighter and differently as needed. But this is pretty good. So if I attach this here, his nose is still in front of the vertical line. The vertical line being top to bottom. If there was a plumb line, he might just back up, but yeah, he's a good boy, he'll just back up. But if their noses are far closer to their chests and their ears, they're behind the vertical. Even if your horse isn't reacting badly, we don't want that shape. That is over cranking their neck. It's towards the direction of roll cur, which I'm sure you've heard of in naughty words. It's cranky, it's bad for their body, it's very aggressive way to get your horse on the bit, but they're really not classically on the bit. As you can see, Dustin is very relaxed. He's licking his lips. He is not concerned at all. We're also going to do the outside one, so they're even. Good job. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to provide a connection for our horses. If we were riding Dustin, we would want him to be going forward, feel the connection the rider has to the bit, start to lower, relax their neck, it tightens their abs and brings their back up. So that is the traditional shape we're always looking for our horses to be when they're using themselves well, walking like a ballerina instead of just lumbering across the yard as I do. So we're going to hope that Dustin, when he goes forward, starts to come into the bridle a little bit. All right, I'll give it a little demonstration and we'll all take a little turn. I will take your whip, Miss Anne. Thank you, thank you. All right, Dusties, let's do it. Thank you, Vanna White. Very good. So many references kids don't get these days. It's so funny. I was teaching a teenager class and they just looked at me like I had 5 heads most of the time. So with the side reins, I now have an inside rein and an outside rein. So I can start to ask for bend, for suppleness, as if I was riding him. So at the walk here, I'm just going to keep him on a smaller circle so we can have a little look. I'm going to be tickling the nose a little bit. So this hand is tickling, it's vibrating. My whip is going to be asking his shoulder to stay out. And I'm going to be, asking for that bend shape as he starts to come on the bit. Hopefully we see that neck relax and he starts to use his body. Good boy. Out. Good. Good boy. Out. To right. Come on, buddy. And he's a really good one to watch. He's trotting, he's being a good boy, but if you look at his feet, at the tracks he leaves in the ground, we want his hind hoofs to match and land in the footprints the front hoofs leave. He's not quite in his tracks. So he's being a good boy, but his back is still tight. His hind legs are not taking full steps yet. As I push him forward, I'm still going to be asking his nose to tickle, come around towards me, And as he starts to lower that neck, we hope the back relaxes and his hind legs reach longer. Boy. Out. And it's a process. It's not usually like a one and done situation. Just like when we're warming up and riding, you don't get the competition horse in the first 5 minutes of your warm up. You go through that kind of weird phase where we're a little sticky. Good boy. Not quite connected. He's starting to get it now. Good boy. He lowered his neck for a second, then slowed down and started to be out of his tracks again. Sometimes you'll find they will canter because that's easier than trotting in their tracks. So I'm not upset with him. I'm like, all right, you do you, buddy. Good boy. Oh, get it out. There you go. Get it out. Good job. Let him cough for a minute. Got it? Good job. All right, see what we can do now. Boy. Good boy. 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 Good. You'll also see there's a little more bounce in his back. Not now, because he raised his head. But what we're looking for is their backs are soft, but strong like trampolines. I'm seeing his back behind the saddle pad and the pointier part of the top of his butt, the SI. I see that start to move a little bit more up and down against the background. And that's a step in the right direction. Now there's a couple of other tricks. Say we're doing this for 5 or so minutes, and we're getting some good moments, but maybe I need a little more guidance. We can also shorten the inside reins so it simulates how we might be asking for bend. We can tighten up both reins until we get the desired result. One of my favorites, though, is to run the line through the bit and attach it to the surcingle. Good boy. But then we get nice moments of that. So looking at him, what would you guys want to see if we're still developing his shape? I know. How would you want him to look at a dressage test? Yeah, I agree. Agreed, yeah, he's still holding a little bit, right? So that's where I might say, all right, let's try a different tool. And walk.
Maybe the lunch line might work better to go through.
Let's do it. Let's experiment, guys. Hi, honey. Hi.
No, he wasn't
Not really bending, right?
bending his,
Not really.
maybe the
I
lunch
can
line
clip
was.
here, but sometimes I like to clip at the buckle to give us a little bit of leverage. Now, already he's like, oh, I can do that.
He knows.
He knows. So let's see if this helps us, and then I'll give someone the rein. Walk on, buddy. He's like, oh, she's serious. Okay. He's already thinking about it, yeah. And he's moving his mouth. It wasn't really moving before, right? Good job, buddy. That's the stuff, guys. That's his magic sauce, and it might be different tomorrow. That's all right. Good job, buddy. Out. Much better. Yeah. And I'm really not changing how I'm using my hand at all. It just feels slightly different from his perspective. Good boy. Head's coming down. Yeah, start to see that top line muscle pop out. Go on, buddy. Absolutely, yeah, spot on. And I also love that I'm getting some relaxation movement from his mouth. He was sort of massaging it around, moving it around. we have a hard mouth, we're not going to have a classic connection in the way we want. Boy. All right. To right. To right. I know it's harder. Out. I know you want to do it. Boy. He's coming. And good things come to those who wait. So I'm waiting until he's forward and on a circle before I add in hand. It's also cool to see, we talk about the ratio of every 2 leg for 1 hand. So I might use hand, he slows down, I add leg. And if he accidentally walks, what? This guy. Yeah. Or clucks. So the voice to go forward and the animated whip. He's moving his mouth. And if you use too much rein, what would he likely do? Yeah, just probably walk. So no big deal, but it says, oh, self, I probably needed a little more leg for what I was asking with the rein. So this is a step in the right direction. I won't keep him going forever. I'd still like to see him further in his tracks, but he's had the week off. He had a stifle injection at the vet, so he's just coming back and feeling good. And ooh, ooh. Who wants to give it a try? So we were having troubles with Nibbles counter bending and kind of falling in. So we shortened the rein. We're doing parallel lunging so that we're able to stay closer to Nibbles' body, but she's still traveling on the same size of the big circle. Yes. And you're able to have a little more influence on tickling the nose in with the bend and pushing the shoulder out. Yes. And as you look at her body, Mackenzie, you're seeing her right front, well, both of her inside legs crisscross closer to the outside, like she's walking on a tightrope. And that's what we want our horses to be able to have a balance. They're acting like ballerinas, not just moving from point A to point B. Well done. Good. Good. Beautiful. She's moving her mouth. She's engaging in the process. And it's not coming from a forceful direction. She's not traveling on a very tiny circle. You're not pulling. You're just able to have a more specific communication in this instance when you parallel lunge. Good. You're doing a small circle and she's doing a bigger circle around you. Your legs are kind of walking grapevine dance style. One more complication of movement, but man, did it get the job done or what? Well done. And this is all we could want from our horse. Beautiful. Beautiful shape. Good girl. Whee! And trot. Good girl. Canter. Girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Girl. Good girl. Good job. And trot. Good job. And walk. Good girl. The trot right before they walked. Yeah, but if they have that more flowing, freely forward gait, it's less likely they're going to easily just fall out of the gait and break. So that made me happy. She did that both sides, feels even. So now we're going to see if we can do it and focus over the slightly bigger jump. I'm gonna plan to be nice and have her go on the left hand to go uphill first. No guarantees if she'll go bucking and landing as she's done once before. So Mackenzie, I might advise you to stay with the jump there or on the other side of that fallen tree right there. Go on. Good girl. Good job. Ooh, celebration. Good girl. Canter. Canter. Good girl. Good.